Years before the Sundown Ski Area, west of Asbury, Iowa, opened during the winter of 1973 and 74, Dubuque downhillers got their thrills within the city limits. For decades, the city's Bunker Hill Golf Course had provided the slopes for enthusiasts. One particular hill along the 11th fairway was ideal. A simple rope tow installed there by the Recreation Department made the site a favorite. Robert R.J. Blocker of Dubuque recalls that the tow wasn't very reliable. He, along with his late wife Joan and several other skiers, began envisioning something better. On March 7, 1967, 21 area residents gathered at the Allison Henderson Park building and chartered the Snomad Ski Club, whose objective would be sponsoring trips to regional ski resorts and establishing a new ski run in the city. Members began eyeing a northwest-facing slope along West 32nd Street on the northern edge of Veterans Memorial Park, which was set to open in August. It would be perfect for the 450-foot run the group had planned. With the blessing of the Dubuque Recreation Commission, construction of Snomad Basin began in September. We were over there with small chainsaws and things, trying to get some of the timber cleared off, recalled Blocker, who served as the club's president for several years. The process was slow and labor-intensive, but soon help would be on its way. John Deere sent in some equipment and basically cleaned out all the trees and things off the hill, Blocker said. Without Deere, I don't think we would have ever gotten the place going. There was so much underbrush and things that had to be cleared out. The hill was seeded with grass, and by the time the first snow fell, the project was 70% complete. Soon, it would be available for the 148 club members. Non-members could use the facility for a fee. A rope tow pulled skiers to the top of the run, where they could stop at a small warming shack that housed a couple of electric heaters. Snomad members left time in their schedules that first winter to take a couple of trips to Mount Telemark near Cable, Wisconsin. In the off-season, the group held regular meetings at the American Trust Building on John F. Kennedy Road. Those often concluded by watching skiing films by Warren Miller or member Ernie Keller's home movies of his trip to Switzerland. By the time the 1968-69 season began, Snomad Basin was fully functional. The city had donated utility poles and lights, which the club installed for nighttime skiing. Additions and improvements continued throughout the following years. The main hill was really very challenging, said Blocker. We then developed another small hill right alongside the big one, and that had its own rope tow. That really got many young kids interested in skiing. I think you could come and ski for 50 cents or $1. It was a really nice little beginner's hill. In 1971, a trailer was purchased for $125 and remodeled to provide an office and chalet at the base of the hill. The site was promoted as a place for skiers of all ages and experience. Even the children contributed by holding paper drives and using proceeds to purchase snowmaking equipment. The machine was installed in 1973, with the city providing the necessary resources. The city did a lot of things, said Blocker. They spent a lot of money on getting water lines so we could make snow. It was a very good relationship between the club and the Recreation Commission. A storage building that included a fireplace was constructed in 1973. Club membership peaked at 693 the following year when the newly opened Sundown began attracting area skiers. The dedicated Snomad group continued to upgrade its offerings, adding another snowmaker, widening the intermediate hill, and annually hosting a dozen or more trips to locations such as Indian Head and Powderhorn near Ironwood, Michigan, Cascade Mountain near Portage, Wisconsin, and Afton Alps near the Twin Cities. More remote destinations included Colorado and Montana. The mid-1970s also marked the introduction of Hot Dog Days, a winter carnival which included downhill racing, freestyle skiing, an obstacle course, and tug-of-war. The annual event proved popular and gave members a chance to show off their skills. However, increased competition from Sundown and Chestnut Mountain south of Galena, Illinois, began siphoning away skiers. And slowly but surely, Blocker recalled, the city kept raising prices. The kids just couldn't afford to come. The Recreation Department decided they did not want to run it anymore. The club held its final run at Snomad Basin in 1983. The shutdown of it was very hard for us to swallow, said Blocker. In 2010, the club began a revival that lasted more than a decade, with members reuniting for ski trips as well as gatherings at Sundown and Chestnut. But the soul of the group remains on the slopes along 32nd Street, now an unassuming tree-covered stretch where the city deposits its plowed snow. In its heyday, the site provided a training ground for a generation. There were some really good skiers that resulted from years and years of skiing at Snomad, Blocker added.